This is why women need to be obsessed with making money. Before we get into this video, just a little disclaimer. I just got a face full of Botox, so if you see little bruises, that's why. I also just got jaw filler for the first time. That shit hurt like a bitch. I was not expecting it to hurt that bad. And I got my eyebrows laminated, which is a comment that I've been getting for quite some time. The girls are like, babe, you need a brow lamination, and I could not agree more. I'm just always so scared to let people touch my eyebrows. Like, I like them bushy. She did them perfect though. I'm also gonna start off with my skincare because I've not prepped my skin yet. I've been hearing about Medicube for over a year, and I just am not influenced very easily, to be honest. Like, I tend to not believe people when they tell me they love a product, but I've already used like half of this thing. I really liked these pore pads. They remind me of the Dr. Dennis Gross ones. For makeup inspo today, I don't have any. I'm literally just gonna wing it. I have a hair appointment all day long. I'm finally getting my hair done the way that I love to have it done. I'm getting curly K-tips, so the next time you see me, my hair's gonna be like so long and full. I'm also going back to black. If you follow me on any of my other platforms, I just feel like my hair just looks the best when it's dark, dark, dark. Lastly, if you hear any noise in the background, I'm getting a chandelier installed in my hallway out here. If you see any of my outfit videos, I'm always complaining about that hallway because it needs work. And today the art's getting installed, the chandelier's getting installed, the curtains are getting installed. Like, it's gonna look so much better. This week I've been thinking a lot about how money has changed my life in the best way possible. I spent so long carrying this shame around wanting to be rich, which is so crazy to think about. Back when I was cosplaying as a straight Christian woman, I had this boyfriend, and he would always talk about like the engagement ring that he wanted to buy me, and he was like, I want to get you this big diamond and all this stuff. I would literally argue with him and be like, no, that's way too expensive. Like, I don't want you to give me that. That's just like, that's too much money to spend. What? I had so much shame and lack mindset and scarcity that I could not even tolerate the imagination scenario of me holding like a giant rock on my finger. I couldn't even imagine having that much money. Is that not the most non-Madi Webb thing you've ever heard? Like, that's like the antithesis of who I've become. Now, I have worked so hard on my mindset so that I can become this version of myself who is so unapologetic about being rich and wanting to be richer. And like, holy shit, I just keep making more and more money because of that. Like, I swear. I know a lot of people are gonna cringe at me saying that because so many of us are still holding on to this shame and they're afraid to let themselves want that. And trust me, I get it. I was the exact same way. I also kind of looked down on people who were so blatant about their money or their want to have more of it. Growing up as a super religious girl, everything was about modesty and selflessness and being happy with wanting less. It was better if you didn't want anything at all. Just like, be grateful for what you have. And if I had anything to give, I was just expected to give it. And I just want to give a quick disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not anti-gratitude. That is a huge part of my spiritual practice. What I think was so harmful was discouraging women from ambition. Quick pause to spray my favorite part of my skincare routine ever. This is an aura mist. I got it gifted to me at an event like over a year ago, and I've just kept buying them. This one's my favorite. It's called Inner Peace. I just bought this one for my best friend. It's called Joy Juice. This is the most her bottle ever. But like, it transports me into a different dimension, I swear. Oh my gosh, I highly recommend adding a scent, like a really good scent into your skincare routine. This one, oh my gosh, this is my favorite. I have so many other aura mists, but that one is my favorite. Usually I do my eyes first, but today I'm gonna try a different style of applying my makeup. A beauty creator I follow says to always warm up your foundation with your hands and apply it with your hands and then use a brush, so I'll try anything twice. When I did finally start to make a little bit of money, I realized that I didn't just have shame around earning it, I had shame around keeping it and enjoying it and receiving it. Like, the shame was a 360 situation. Take some makeup wipes now that I've gotten it all over my hand. Back when I was still very controlled by that shame and buying into everything that I was taught in religion and the way I should view and approach money, my biggest fantasy was that I would marry a man who would be like a strong leader and take care of me and would be able to provide enough for me that I wouldn't feel so fucking scared all the time. Because when I didn't have any money, I literally was so full of fear all of the time. The literal obsession with marrying a rich man that society society has taught so many women is the biggest bunch of bullshit that has ever been fed to us. And ultimately, it is a fucking distraction. Women having financial independence is one of the biggest threats to patriarchy because dependence has historically been one of its greatest tools to oppress women. You know I love talking about the superficial perks of having money, like hiring a chef and going on fancy trips, having nice jewelry, like everything. None of that was normal to me growing up at all. But underneath all of that, that has never been the thing driving me. What honestly drives me, and I think a lot of other women can relate to this, is freedom from control. Maybe you've had to watch a woman you love or experienced it yourself where you have to stay in a relationship or a job or a living situation where you were not being respected, all because you didn't have the financial freedom to leave. Like, where were you gonna fucking go? To me, that is the greatest luxury money could ever buy, is the freedom to leave. Because there were multiple times in my life where I did not have that. Some of you guys know this, but during the pandemic, I lived in what's called a content house. A content house, if you don't know, is basically like this thing that happened in 2020 where a bunch of, like, I guess management companies created these houses where TikTokers would go and live and collaborate, and the managers or like the owners of the houses would take a percentage of all your income, and you would just like live there, make videos, try to make money. Like, you've probably heard of the Hype House, right? I was not in any of like the big cool ones. Ours like didn't even have a name. We never like announced a name. It was very fucking weird. There's so much lore of my life that I need to honestly sit down and give you like the rundown of how I got to LA, because I came from a super small town in Missouri and the story is fucking crazy. But anyways, the way I got to LA was that I got offered a room in this content house, and the exchange was that they would manage me and they would take a percentage of my income. The flip side of that as well is that I did not have nearly as many followers as the rest of the creators in the house. I kind of had to not beg to get in, but I had to do a lot more to be in that house than the other creators did. Like, I actually worked for the manager. I was doing all the emails. I was organizing the brand deals. I was working at that management company, and I was a creator. I always had like 3 to 4 jobs at a time my whole entire life, so that was not anything new. But what was new was working and living with my boss, who was emotionally abusive as well as physical and violating, and ultimately just incredibly controlling. Like, I barely left that house for the 1.5 years that I lived there, and not because of the pandemic, because of the control. One of the biggest ways he was able to control me was because I had no money. I had nowhere to go. I sold every single thing I owned to move into that content house. And he was not only taking a percentage of all the money that I was earning while I was there, but I was also manipulated into buying so many things for him. Like, it's not even worth going into. I was just constantly told that I was not going to be able to afford to leave in the near future, ever, whatever. He convinced me for a long time that I needed him and that it would be years for me to make it on my own or to like leave the house. It was so crazy. Like, anytime I mentioned wanting to move out or go out and do my own thing, he would pull out the whiteboard, do a bunch of mansplaining math on how I could never afford to live alone, how it would be insane if I tried to leave. And then he would lord the contract over my head as well, saying, I own you. I own your likeness. I own your name. I own everything. Looking back now, he did not believe any of the shit he was telling me, but he needed me to believe it. And I did for a while. When someone convinces you that you cannot survive without them, they don't just control your money, they literally control your imagination. That is one of the reasons why financial freedom means so much more to me than the fancy bags and the nice house and like whatever. It means that no one gets to convince me that I am trapped ever again. That's probably why I couldn't imagine saying yes to a big fat ring back then. It wasn't about the ring, it was what I believed I was allowed to have. Girl, I have grown so far past that. Like, now I want the fancy house, I want the fancy clothes, I want the first class flights, like, yes. But more than any of those things, I want choices. And not only do I want choices for myself, I want my mom to have choices. I want my baby sisters to have choices. I want all of the women that come after me to have choices. Money does not just buy nice things, it buys us options. You know, women usually don't want money because we want to control anyone. We want money because we never want to be able to be controlled again. Maybe you didn't experience it like I did in the content house, but maybe you experienced it from your parents, or you watched someone you love experience it. I also very much experienced it in my childhood from my family. The control. You know, when I started writing this video, I realized very quickly that it isn't really about money. Money just represents freedom, power, autonomy, safety, the things that as women we quietly get trained our entire lives not to reach for. And one of the ways they do this is by moralizing freedom. You know what I'm talking about. Don't be materialistic. Money can't buy happiness. You need to just be grateful, be modest, be selfless, and want less. We're just supposed to want love, a good partner. It is actually crazy when I go back and I watch rom-coms from like the early 2000s or the 80s or whatever that I used to love, and I watch them now and I'm like, oh my fucking propaganda. Like, this is crazy. Women are quitting their jobs to go chase after their boyfriends or whatever. Like, no wonder we get that shit stuck in our heads. It's in everything. It's in media, the way we talk. I think that a lot of us were raised with parents who were like, I just want you to meet a good man who's gonna take care of you, and I want you to be loved. Less heavy on the, I want you to follow your dreams, be successful. If you did get that, good for you, girl. And I'm not saying that money is the opposite of love. Money is just the thing that lets you choose freely instead of settling out of fear and being reliant on somebody else. So many women shy away from admitting the things that they want because we're taught to view it as shallow or tacky, unladylike. I love to talk about money in rooms of women and see how people react. It's so crazy. You can literally see people get visibly uncomfortable. But like, ladies, we need to be talking about money with our friends. Do you know how men get more and more successful? They go to the golf course, they network with their buddies, and they share information, they share stock tips, investment tips. Like, it's normal for them. Harvard did this study, and it was basically where they had men and women negotiate for higher pay. They said the exact same thing. They asked for the exact same raise. They found that when a man negotiated, it was viewed as confident and ambitious. Now guess how they viewed it when a woman tried to negotiate it? They saw her as aggressive, difficult, and a hiring risk. They made sure it was the same behavior, the same words. The only differentiation was the gender. That just shows you how ingrained in us it is. Hey guys, it's me in the future editing. I just want to say, I do not want that study to prevent you from ever asking for a raise. You should always, always, always ask for more. I was watching it back and I was like, hold the phone. I don't want that to prevent any woman from getting her fucking bag. The opening offer is never the final offer, period. I just wanted to make that little note. Do not let that deter you. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. You are allowed to want to be rich, and that is not shallow. It is actually the least shallow thing a woman can do. The way I was raised, super religious, super patriarchal, not only just in the religion, but my family immigrates from India, which is just another like male dominated patriarchal culture. And the whole messaging is like the man leads, the woman follows. You put his needs first, his wants first, his calling first. And literally the whole goal that you are handed as a young girl is to be chosen. And we wonder why we have pick-me girls. And you're just supposed to feel lucky and grateful to be picked, to be chosen. And like, I believed that fully. I never once chose the boyfriends that I had. Not one single boyfriend I had ever dated did I go out and I was like, oh, he's so cute, like I'm so into him, like I have a huge crush on him, I want to date him. No, every single one of the boyfriends I ever had chose me. It's like in Sabrina Carpenter's song, she says something like, they're choosing me, I'm not choosing them. And it was just ingrained in me to want to be chosen. And so when I was chosen, I like went with it. It made me feel special. And you know, I've realized recently that some of that is still in me. Like, it doesn't just go away. I don't like think about someone coming to save me anymore. Like, that used to be my fantasy when I was dealing with a lot of abuse. Like, oh, someone please come save me, please, a knight in shining armor. No, but there is this voice in the back of my head that says, you'll only feel safe when you have a partner who can provide for you. As if I'm not providing for myself just fucking fine. And I have to clock it every time it comes up. Because wanting a partner who can take care of themselves, that's healthy, that's stable, that's attractive. But wanting a partner you can rely on to survive, that is a leash, and that is the wiring that is installed in us on purpose. Because a woman who needs to be provided for is a woman who can't leave. Safety was never supposed to come from a partner. It was supposed to come from me the whole time. My girlfriend is a bonus. She is my partner. She is someone I choose, not someone I need. When you can provide for yourself, you never have to stay anywhere that you don't want to be. You get to pick love because because it's good, not because it pays the bills or puts a roof over your head. And that is the version of safe that they conveniently never tell us about, and it's never in a rom-com either. It's also really interesting when you look at the statistics on what men do with their money versus what women do with theirs. Harvard did a study and found that typically women reinvest up to 90% of their earnings back into their families and communities. That's what the percentage was for men. 30 to 40. Are we surprised? Give a woman money and it will feed kids. It will fund communities. It can literally lift entire neighborhoods. And we're not just talking about a little change here and there anymore, ladies. Female-controlled wealth in the United States is on track to hit $34 trillion, roughly 38% of the US assets. That's about 38% of the US assets by 2030. So let me get this straight. Women are about to control a third of the wealth in this country and consistently reinvesting it to make the world better. And we're still out here calling it shallow to want some of it? A fucking no. Money in the hands of women is not the root of all evil. It's actually the closest thing we have to fixing the evil we have in leadership right now. If you're still feeling uncomfortable about the idea of wanting wealth for yourself, I'm about to paint you a picture. Because this is what it looks like when women allow themselves to want and hold wealth. Level 1. You are able to pay your rent with ease or your mortgage. You can buy all the healthy food you want. No more calculators in the grocery store. I did that. You have a reliable car. You have a home that you can furnish. You can get new clothes when you need them or you just want them. Ease is the floor. That's level 1. Level 2, your people. Someone you love is in a bad situation. You can get them out. My sister moved to LA a year ago because she needed out of something and I was there for her. I was able to bring her here. I didn't just support her emotionally. I gave her a place to live. I co-signed the lease. I found her a job. I'm not taking credit for all of her success, but that is what money does. Now let's bump it up a little. Level 3, providing opportunities for other women. I have hired women who used to work for terrible men. They were disrespected. They were talked down to. I've heard some horror stories. I've also experienced them. Now they work for me. They are paid way above market, not just minimum wage. I'm able to give them raises. I'm able to give them bonuses. I'm able to give them gifts on their birthday. I sent one of my assistants to get a massage last week because she has been just amazing and killing it. And every time I get to do those little things, it feels like a gift for me. Like that is what happens when money gets into the right hands. So let's bump it up even more. Level 4, strangers. Let's say you pass someone on the street with no home. You can literally buy them whatever groceries they need. You can hand them a pile full of cash and you will not even flinch. It will not affect you whatsoever. You won't even think about that money ever again. You see a GoFundMe on someone you love story, you dump $500, $1,000, $2,000 in there, no problem. Level 5, real damage control. Let's say someone's house burns down. That happened to a lot of people in LA last year and they aren't able to rebuild. You can literally write them a check. You can change their entire lives overnight. And now let's talk serious change. Money buys respect and access when you have a lot of it. And that's what gets women in the right rooms with the people who write the laws. Now you're not just able to change one family's life. You can change legislation. You're able to change what's possible for women who will never even know your name. That is why women need to be obsessed with making money. Yes, it's for us, but it's also for all the women that come after us. I also want to add that you're allowed to just want it for you. The gorgeous home, the bag, the car, whatever the fuck you want. You don't need a noble reason. You don't need a charity attached. Because I want it is a full sentence. It is your money. You are allowed to spend it however the fuck you want. But when it's not actually yours, you don't get any of it. You either get permission or you get nothing. And freedom is never having to even ask. So I would love for someone to look me in the eye and tell me that money is the root of all evil. Tell me that it's morally superior to choose to have none of it yourself. That's not humility. That is setting up women to be easier to control. And that is exactly what the system wants. Women who have to stay. Women who keep the peace and who cannot make a move. Wanting to be rich is not shallow. I think it is one of the most radical things a woman can do. It buys you the one thing that they never wanted us to have, a choice. Being a wealthy woman is activism. And for most of us, the first act of freedom is not making $1 million. It's admitting that we want to. It's finally admitting it. Because before you can build the life that you actually want, you gotta stop apologizing for wanting it. Enough of that. If this reframes even one thing for you, drop a comment about a belief that you're trying to unlearn. I literally read all the comments. I respond to all of them. I am obsessed with women making money. And if you are too, subscribe to this video and send it to a friend. See you next week.